Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for week 14 of the DKMR Invitational. I'm your host, Kobayashi Maru, and this week we have a challenger from Team vVv Gaming. It's vVv Ostkaka. And tonight I'm joined and casting with Disciple. How's it going, man?
Hey there, it's going really well. I'm excited to be here once again.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm really excited. We got a great group of games, and there's a lot to talk about. So let's just jump right into it. Before we talk about this event, I wanted to just mention to everybody out there that this weekend, the DKMR $1,000 Cup is going on. It's a tournament put on by this team, DKMR, and you can enter a qualifier tournament this Saturday, the 27th, for your shot at the $1,000 prize pool. The semifinals and finals of the main tournament will be cast live this Sunday at 2 p.m. EST, 11 a.m. PST. So if you guys are interested in that, whether you want more information or you want to sign up, you can just Google DKMR and Battlefly, and the top links will get you right to that tournament. Okay, so tonight, we've got a great tournament, as I mentioned, and the format is very common, but I'll mention it just for you guys who are new to this event. But we've got a great competitor, and there is so much going on in the world of Hearthstone with all these tournaments and the BlizzCon qualifiers. It's just making for a really exciting time for everybody, and all the tournaments are basically gaining this advantage because so many players, so many events, so many things are being done right now. I'm really excited.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really exciting time in Hearthstone, especially for an esport that is generally new overall. But we've kind of seen a year's worth of tournaments culminating up to this point where we're kind of exploding with a lot of tournaments happening all over, especially with the BlizzCon qualifiers going into BlizzCon. But it's nice that we can keep some of those smaller community tournaments like this Invitational, where we have some really nice top-level players competing for some small prize pools, but still getting some great tournament experience and still competing for a little bit of money.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a great show for you tonight, and I'm just going to explain very briefly the format. Each week, a new challenger will take on 2 DKMR pros for a growing cash prize. The first match is a best of 5, and if the challenger gets past our first pro, he'll win $25 and then go on to play in a best of 7 for $75. And each week, the DKMR players win the best of 7, the prize pool increases an additional $75. Last week, the DKMR pros were not successful. The prize pool has reset to $75. So Ostkaka will be competing this week against DKMR Faramir in a best of 5, and if he can take him down, he'll collect $25. And then if that happens, he will then take on DKMR Powder, and that will be in a best of 7 for $75. So $100 total tonight if Ostkaka can win all of the matches. The other way this can play out is if Ostkaka loses in the best of 5, then Faramir will play against Powder in the best of 7, and that'll be for the original $25 that wasn't taken by Ostkaka. And in that case, the best of 7 prize pool will go up to $150 for next week, and that's when we will have Fu Oliver, a Chinese pro, coming. So if you guys are interested in the Chinese scene, next week is something you should definitely tune into.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting building up week over week. We saw that happen for the last few weeks until just last week. Dark Wanix was able to 7-0 it in both the best of 5 and the best of 7. He was able to take about a $350 cash prize for himself and reset it. He knocked D2 off of his place as king and went ahead and threw everyone back into the mix, and then we had Powder, of course, emerge as the victor for this inner DKMR tournament with Faramir as the new challenger, and it'll be really fun to see what happens if we have our community member going and taking it twice in a row, or if we have kind of what's been the norm of DKMR taking this tournament with some really impressive play.
Let's talk about our challenger. I'm going to quickly jump over here to the team here. We have a fantastic challenger, Ostkaka from Team vVv. He's a resident of Gothenburg, Sweden, of Stockholm, Sweden, and playing for Team vVv. And if you can see here, we've got his teammates such as Sebastian Spo, Kaldi, Ostkaka is our challenger tonight, and Wampy, as well as Portex. A solid lineup with a lot of strong players individually with a lot of accomplishments. But let's talk about Ostkaka right now. So he, in particular, was number 8 seed in NA and number 7 seed in EU for the BlizzCon Phase 1. He's multiple rank 1 legend and first place in many weekly cups, invitational as well as open. His Twitter is at vVv_Ostkaka, Ostkaka, and his Twitch channel is twitch/Ostkaka, with 2 A's it looks like, actually. Ostkaka, I think. That's what the information I've got. So if it's not under 2 A's, it's 1 A. You guys can figure it out.
Yeah, you've got that right, actually. It is 2 A's at the end.
Okay. And his team's accomplishments. So there are a significant number of accomplishments in the Open tournament, but one of the most impressive, which I want to mention here, is his teammate Kaldi got a top 16 finish at DreamHack Summer from the Open brackets, not even invited, and that is a hell of a run he made. The players have started a little bit earlier than we anticipated, so let's just jump right into the game. Sorry about that, guys. This is atypical that the players start so quickly, so let me just get this all sorted and we can continue to talk about those players. So we just missed the mulligans, but this is game 1, and I will be getting that all set up for you guys. And in game 1, as I mentioned, it is vVv Ostkaka against DKMR Faramir, and Faramir is playing a warrior and Ostkaka is playing a druid. So sorry about that. These games started a little quick. Let me get the overlays all set up here as you kind of lead us into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. We're seeing a relatively standard control warrior. What I'd assume, I haven't actually managed to see the deck list because we do keep them rather confidential so far. It's going to be a control warrior up against what I assume is going to be a bit of an aggressive Strife Crow-esque ramp or druid. I don't know if you can call it ramp or not. It has some elements of ramp with Wild Growth and Innervate, which are pretty recent additions that we just saw yesterday in BlizzCon from Kalento. But adding those in makes it a little bit stronger and kind of turns it into a hybrid aggressive ramp deck. Warrior can do really well against this Druid deck if it can control the board early and survive to that late game where it throws out enormous threats that Druid has trouble dealing with. But if Druid can get a lot of minions on the board and end the game quickly with a huge Savage Roar burst, then it could take out this Warrior before he's quite ready to deal with these threats.
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about this deck. So we talked about the Force of Nature Savage Roar. We've got a double combo here in this deck for Ostkaka, and that's something we've been seeing a lot, and it's been shifting around. But as you said, with the Shade of Naxxramas, Haunted Creeper, sort of the smaller minions to build the board, it is typical to see those kind of cards here. So we've got that the double Force Savage combo. You got some Spectral Knight. So this is an interesting take. I would say the take I'm more consistently seeing on this type of Druid, despite the fact that there are Wild Growths in there for some ramp.
Yeah, the biggest change that we've seen recently is, I believe, the Echoing Oozes removed in favor of the Wild Growths.
Yep.
It does take away what kind of felt like a bit of a dead card in the early game and just allow you to get up to those huge combo turns a little bit earlier and let you place out those heavier threats. We're also seeing an Azure Drake, which isn't always typical in this deck, but it does take the place of some pretty necessary card draw.
Yeah. And you want to talk just a little about what's going on here. We've got a silence down on that 1/3 on the Acolyte, which makes a lot of sense. And as we're going to see some tasking and executing here on the 5/5.
Yeah, of course. Denying that warrior card draw early on is extremely important. Keeping his hand thin really limits his abilities to respond to your threats. And when you build up a board, that's really what you need. You can't let him get all of his shield sent, his executes, his brawls. Those are all going to make your job of building up your board almost impossible. Right now, Warrior has expended quite a few resources to keep this board cleared. He just had to use the Taskmaster execute combo a little bit early. He doesn't have that Taskmaster later for a Grom finisher. He also doesn't have it to draw him any more cards or gain him any more armor. But what's so important is keeping away that 5/5 body, which is most likely the most important body to execute in this deck, since the only minion with higher health is probably Spectral Knight here, who can't be executed. Yeah. There might be a Cenarius, which you might want to execute for later, but right now it's just about keeping the board clear.
Yep. And as we're going for face with the Acolyte here and bringing down the Belcher, there's a potential to silence it with the Keeper of the Grove, but also you could just take it out with your minions. I want to mention one other thing about this Warrior deck. So this deck that is named Kit Kats is numero uno. So you can all imagine this is a takeoff of a Kit Kat contemporary Warrior with a lot of legendaries in there. So I think we're going to see a really packed game, fun-filled with beautiful creatures that are glowing, glittering, shining with their legendary marks.
Yeah, this is some people might call a pay-to-win deck, which of course isn't true, since most of these players have played for far long enough to earn all the cards themselves. But it is quite expensive to build, and what these legendaries do bring is an incredibly impactful late game if you can manage to survive there with board control, with armor, and with all these nice, efficient answers that Warrior possesses, which he's doing a great job of so far.
And I do like keeping the Keeper of the Grove in your back pocket to silence one of the many other things you're going to be dealing with later. I think that's a smart heads-up play, and all your other minions stay alive too, so it forces him to trade, and you're saving some of your tech for later, which you're gonna need if you don't get a quick Force Savage combo.
Yeah, that's definitely true. He can't overextend on the board too much, also in fear of Brawl. He has to try and deal his damage consistently instead of flooding the board and ending it all in one turn, because a single Brawl can really destroy his chances. He's going to try and throw out cards like the Spectral Spiders when he has the chance, or the Haunted Creeper, sorry, so that it can survive Brawl pretty well. But other than that, he's not going to play much more than one minion a turn.
Yeah, and there's a potential here to Keeper and Hero Power so that you don't really lose. The Keeper's not wasted here, and that would leave you with 6 left. So you could then potentially bring down a Druid of the Claw here and go aggressive for the face, or you could come in taunt mode to protect your Drake, which will be at 3 health.
Right, protecting the Drake here might actually be a little important. We might see that taunt come out just so he doesn't lose it immediately to the axe.
And goes charge, though, which I get. Right. I really do get it. And I think that's okay, because ultimately that's 4 damage from the Druid and then another 4 from the Drake if he's going to hit it with the axe. So I think that's probably his thought process here.
Well, and actually, he's threatening some mighty lethal right here. Mm-hmm. If you take a look at, right now, the combo on turn 9, if he manages to only remove the Drake, is going to deal 20 damage itself. So even if he axes Drake and armors up, if he doesn't deal with these threats immediately, then he could be sitting pretty well. But he's going to throw out the Armor Smith and go ahead and Taskmaster's Acolyte to trade into the Azure Drake. This not only gains him 2 armor, but it also saves his damage on his face and takes him out of that range. Punishing the greed of the charge mode here. Very well done by Faramir. Right, definitely. And yeah, with the Shield Slam to follow up, he's really afraid of that combo. He's showing how much he respects his need to keep the board clear, and that's going to be a really great way to keep himself safe for now. The only issue is, without a card draw mechanic on the board or in hand, he's working with 3 cards on his next turn, which isn't a place you want to be in. Yeah, that's the power of this Druid deck versus a Warrior. Warrior will always have answers, but they can run out of cards, and that's why there's so many important draw mechanics, as we've seen. But the Acolytes have been silenced, so that's preventing maybe 2, 3, 4 cards over 2 Acolytes. Or was it just 1 Acolyte? I think it was 2. It was just one Acolyte so far. It was silenced. He was able to keep it on the board, use it to gain armor, and trade into a minion. But even though he got so much use out of it, you can see right now, with a hand size of 7 to a hand size of 2, that's I think that silence on the Acolyte might have been the play he needed to get to this point, and maybe the play he needs to win the game. However, he does need to close it out, and with some really strong minions coming out from Warrior starting on turn 8, we may see him be able to regain control of this game. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, but a Rag is not a good card here, and depending on what gets dropped down, I'm gonna guess that the Faceless won't be as useful either. Facelessing a Spectral Knight is not exactly what you're looking for, and this deck could be running a Black Knight, so if you are bringing down... Oh, he doesn't do it. He brings the Yeti and the Spectral Knight. I was going to say, if you're bringing down the Druid of the Claw, you're going to want to charge it at this late in the game. I don't hate Rag here. Yeah? You have a 2/3 chance of destroying an enemy minion. Your other option is just to armor up and shield slam. I would say armor up, shield slam the Yeti, and then you can go ahead and run your face and all your minions to the Spectral Knight. You really need to keep them down because Force Savage is going to tear you apart right now. But Rag has a pretty good chance of just removing a threat. But you can't Rag and a shield slam here. That's 9 mana. I can't quite do that just yet. Right, but you don't need to remove every threat because you're still out of range of the combo. Got it. The combo with 1 4-attack minion is only going to deal 20 damage to you. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
So you were thinking Rag this turn and then deal with it next turn. Okay, I could see your line of thinking there. That makes a lot of sense. He's not sure either. He's kind of playing with both Rag and the Faceless.
It is risky. If Rag hits face, he loses.
Yep.
And so that it could be a 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah.
Do you just go for the... Oh, he goes for the YOLO Rag. All right, boys. Let's see. This actually pretty much decides the game.
Let's see how it comes. And... Oh, to the face.
Wait a minute. No, because he gained the armor from his minions, he was two away from lethal.
Yep. He's got
because
20, he's got 22 now, and it'll be 20 damage with Force Savage Roar.
Oh man, that was so close. That was so close right there.
Yeah. He has a lot of ways of actually dealing with this. He can send out the first force as well as, let's say, a Keeper, and he can start to do damage, and then Force Savage the next turn. We could keep the Keeper and Hero Power, and then send the Yeti into the... I mean, he's got a lot of ways of dealing with this, and you don't need 2 forces, so I have a feeling that is going to be the expendable unit coming down on the board. Yep. Here we go, and he's going to go Keeper so that he can save the Yeti. I like it. I think that's a really smart play, and you've got enough damage right now that if they bring down a big taunter, you can clear it with one of those minions that are going to get the Savage Roar on it.
I totally agree with you there. That was a really nice play. What it does tell your opponent is that you do have a second copy of Force of Nature in your hand, most likely, because, I don't know, even if you only have 1 copy, he might have had to use it for removal, because Rag is quite the scary threat, especially with the potential threat of Faceless on it. But now, he's actually got lethal on the board from having those 2 minions up.
Yeah, and as that comes down very quickly, with a nice Force Savage combo, we have game number 1 going to Ostkaka. And I'm going to jump over and switch over the overlays, get things in order here, and we're going to take a look at game number 2 in this best of 5 and see if Faramir can come back and even things up.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice performance from that Druid deck. You can see its strengths of kind of fighting for some board control in the early to mid game, setting up just a few minions on your board, and then ending it with a huge combo. What it can lose to is a really large taunt minion, or just kind of large minions that are difficult to remove. Since there's no form of hard removal, you simply have to use Wrath or run your minions into anything in your way. Yeah. And we're actually going to see a whole different style approaching with a new Miracle deck, including the 5-mana Leroy Jenkins.
The 5-mana Leroy. The nerf is real, guys, and this is what we're playing on. And this deck is named DKMR Christopher, so you can be pretty sure there's going to be a couple Violet Teachers in here. That's some DKMR tech that a lot of people have been talking about as new post-patch, but DKMR has been doing this for at least a month or 2, so I really like it. And we are into the game, and we can see here. Yeah, we got the big game Hunter, which gives a little potential to help out against some scary control decks. But ultimately, you're really looking for your Gadget Zans, which you do not have yet, or I should say, Faramir does not have yet.
Right. In his starting hand, for his mulligan, he had the Leroy and double Violet Teacher, and he went ahead and mulliganed it all because he wants to grab some early minions for board control. He knows that Big Game Hunter doesn't have any place in this matchup, so he's going to go ahead and, I believe, throw it down just for some early board control. I'm actually not sure now because a really nice Innervate goes ahead and sends out a turn 2 Spectral Knight, which is going to be so difficult for this rogue to deal with. Yeah,
turn 2 Spectral Knight. That hurts. I mean, Spectral Knight's really powerful versus particularly rogues as well as oh my god, I was gonna say paladins, but not paladins. Okay, so I just lost my brain. It went out of my head.
Rogues as well as pretty much every deck right now relies heavily on spells for removal.
Yeah.
And I would say it's a really nice priest killer.
I was gonna say priest, yeah, but I lost my brain. Yeah, and so, but Rogue in particular is very reliant on it. Rogue and Priest is in particular reliant on it, so it's going to be nice for him. Getting out that Violet Teacher, though, Faramir's fighting for the board control.
Right, that Violet Teacher is a really nice piece of tech, like you said, that DKMR has brought out as a form of control, since Miracle is really a control deck. You have to fight to use your spells to aggressively deal with the board until you can draw into your large finishing combos while trying to deal damage to your opponent with these minions on the board, which is exactly what Violet Teacher can do. Since you're a spell-based deck, you can go ahead and spawn these 1/1 apprentices to pressure your enemy or to trade off into opposing minions. It's really, really nice to have out on the board to spawn some from, but it does prompt some removal here from Ostkaka, who takes it out immediately with the 1 damage Wrath and minion.
And let's see, do we have an answer? We do have the Deadly Poison, which will answer this threat. And since he's got the charge, 2 charges on the weapon, he's definitely going to do that. He poisons up, gets rid of that Spectral Knight, brings down the Big Game Hunter, which will not be useful for its battle cry. Well, it could be, theoretically. There's Edwin Van Cleef, but very unlikely.
Well, he's running Edward Van Cleef.
Oh, right.
I'm pretty sure that
the Druid's not running Edwin.
Unless there's some weird tech. No, it's fine. Druid does have a couple minions that can be targeted from Big Game Hunter. Some run Rag, some run Ancient of War, and maybe one person in history has uprooted it. But this deck doesn't have anything that's going to be above 5 attack, so he feels very confident just throwing it out there as a 4/2.
Yeah, actually, Cenarius.
Right, Fenarius is a 5/8, and he has the 5/5 Ancients of Lore, but that's it.
Yeah. And it would still need to be buffed in it before it would be attackable. But alright, so that minion goes down, and it looks like with 6 mana, I mean, I'm definitely feeling the Druid of the Claw here, but there's, yeah, I mean, you don't really want to do spiders and hero power here. I don't really see any reason to do that.
Yeah, I definitely expect to see. There it is, a Druid of the Claw just pressuring in some damage. He knows that it can get taken out by an Eviscerate anyway. There's not a big difference to taunting it up, and pushing in that 4 damage to set up for your combo is really important. So it gets taken out pretty easily right there with a backstab Eviscerate, and there, putting it in charge actually took just as much damage as it would have in taunt mode.
Faramir keeps saying well played. He keeps emoting. I think he's feeling pretty beat right now. Let's see if he can come back. He's giving away, I think, a little bit of information there by all those emotes.
Yeah, you're kind of giving away the fact that your hand is not drawing you into your win. Unless you are signifying that you have some crazy 31 damage combo that you can come up with, which likely isn't going to be the case there.
Blizzard made sure of that.
Yeah, definitely true. None of those Leroy Shadow Step Cold Blood Prep.
We have an Innervate here. It's going to be Innervate, Force Savage Roar, 1 turn early, and
that is
Faramir goes down 2-0, and we're going to be getting into game number 3 in just a moment. Really well done by Ostkaka. This Druid is a menace.
Absolutely. This Druid deck is so incredibly strong. We've seen how well it can fight for board control while pressuring damage, while setting up a board to end the game with a huge combo. It's done that perfectly 2 games in a row. And even though the Warrior had a bit better chance there from what we saw up against that Druid than the Miracle Rogue did, it really has a strong performance against all decks and doesn't necessarily have one big weak spot. I would say the weakest ones are Priest and Paladin for their ability to control the board so well. Priest with its ability to steal your minions and clear UL, and then of course Paladin for its huge taunts and its quality Consecrate combos.
Yeah, and here we see Faramir picking a Shaman, which I think has a pretty good chance versus this deck. He gets a decent starting hand. He throws back the Black Knight, which is a sort of mid to late game card, but some Shamans do like to keep it because it's just so valuable when you have the coin and basically a Druid of the Claw coming down. But you do want to answer some early threats like Shade of Naxxramas, which we see in Ostkaka's hand. So the Shaman here has got Mana Tide, which he kept. We've got the Unbound Elemental, the 2 Feral Spirits, and it looks like he's going to coin out a Feral, which is going to basically overload him to have 1 mana next turn. So unless
he actually went with the Unbound.
He went with the Unbound. Okay, good. It looked like from my screen he was bringing out the Ferals. This is a much preferred turn because then the Ferals come out next turn, buffing the Unbound, and the overload's a lot more favorable.
And
So-
you know that your opponent can't take care of that unbound right now unless he has an innervate to do something like a swipe hero power or a wrap hero power.
Yep.
And now fighting for this early board control, it's going to be a much better spot than he's been in either of these first two games, where Druid is coming from a place where he feels a little bit behind and has to build that board control before he can pressure for damage.
Yeah. Let's see here. We've got 4 mana. I mean, you could silence the Unbound, which will prevent it from getting even scarier. But that's not really going to fight for board control as well as you like. And if you trade right now, I mean, it's getting to the point where you might actually have to consider trading this 3/3, because very quickly this can get out of hand, especially with Flame Tongue Totems or additional Feral Spirits. Yeah.
Yeah, I expect to see throwing the shade into one of the Feral Spirits and throwing down a Yeti who can then fight for board control. If you throw down that... throwing this down is really nice to stop that extra damage coming in, but all you've done is take away 1, potentially 2 points of damage, but you haven't figured out a way to take out those Feral Spirits or to remove that Unbound Elemental, which is 2 a 2/4.
What it does do, though, is it works better with swipe on the following turn, because you can guarantee that that minion, if he didn't attack in and was still protected, would be killed. Now, swipe's actually money, because you can swipe the Flame Tongue Totem and everything else dies. So it does actually work out, and I do see the logic there, so I think that's well played.
Oh, absolutely, it is well played. I think that was maybe a bit of a mistake from Faramir. He took the risk of opening up his board up to the perfect swipe in order to control the board. If there wasn't a swipe, that probably would have been game over. But because Ostkaka did have that answer, this is definitely his game potentially, because of how amazing of a hand he has right now. Just throw out threats turn after turn after turn.
Yeah, and this shaman is running plenty of card draw mechanics, so it's also the kind of shaman that's not going to run out of steam, like a tempo shaman or a pressure shaman. And we see now the Black Knight in hand, which is really going to come in handy. Throwing it away, getting it on turn 6 is pretty much perfect. So I feel like the shaman's in a good spot. He will probably have to expend either some taunt out on the board with the Mana Tide to protect it, or the Rock Biter to kill. And I like this better, the Ferals and the Mana Tide, because it's going to basically prevent, unless he has another swipe, him from killing your Mana Tide or silencing it. And you're going to just take your advantage and extend. When you're ahead, get more ahead, to coin a StarCraft phrase.
Yeah, definitely. This Mana Tide Totem is going to be really nice for him, because shamans really throughout history lack that card draw mechanic. So having a Mana Tide Totem, even though it feels a bit clunky, out on a board this heavily protected, is going to ensure the next few turns have answers, which can be really important against what feels like a really stacked hand from this Druid. He has card draw from that Ancient of Lore, and then he has a bunch of 4 and 5 mana minions that he can continue to pressure the board with.
And also saving those Rock Biters allow him to combo it with either Alakir or Doomhammer, or use one of them later on a minion and still have 1 left over. But he's also getting Lightning Bolts, which are going to be 4 damage Lightning Bolts. So he's actually going to be able to clear everything here. He could potentially roll a Totem here to see if he could actually use a Lightning Bolt alone to get rid of that Ancient of Lore, which is not a bad idea. He could run the Drake in there afterwards, or he could Rock Biter on top of the Drake. You could Hex, and that would give a really strong sense of tempo, but I don't know that it's necessary. But again, you're really far ahead. If you want to maintain that lead, you could go ahead and Hex that Ancient of Lore. I don't think it's necessary. I think he could actually do plenty of other things. You could have Defender of Argus to make your Drake a 5/5, keeping it alive against the 4/4, and then used a Rock Biter on the Feral to move in. That would have been my preferred play, but there's nothing wrong with this.
The big thing about Hex that you have to remember is, what does my opponent have, and what will I Hex later? And you know that 5/5 body is the largest your opponent has that can be targeted by spells, unless, of course, he's running a Cenarius, which not all decks of this variety do. Even though it didn't leave in the mana to Defender of Argus and come out that favorable trade, leaving your minion on 1 health, as he showed earlier, can be pretty dangerous and can open you up to another Dream Swipe. So that was a very nice play. You lose a bit of your board pressure, but you do grab some really nice board control, which in this matchup has shown to be incredibly important.
Absolutely, and it looks like the Fire Elemental is going to come down to Battle Cry for 3 damage, which will allow the Feral or the Wolf to trade if he wants, or he can Lightning Bolt it, which is probably preferred because board control is so important. And the Lightning Bolt comes down, Rock Biter on the 1/1 Totem. Everything's clear, even though the Mana Tide's not drawing anymore. It did get 2 or maybe 3 draws, which is pretty good. I mean, really good, actually, I should say. And we do have another Spectral Knight, which is going to fight for board presence, but not really give him what he needs. I'm feeling more like, oh god, this is so tricky. It might be a Force Savage here, which is going to limit Ostkaka's ability to win the game, but will do a really good job of clearing the 2 scary minions on the board. I mean, the other option here is to Drake and see what you draw, or to Druid of the Claw and kill the 2/3. It's a tough spot. I don't really like Shade of Naxxramas here. Delaying doesn't really do much. You really need to fight.
I expect to see Shade Druid of the Claw take out the 2/3. There are a couple things that you actually have to start being afraid of once the Shaman builds up a board. Right now, if he had something like Bloodlust, Rockbiter, Lightning Bolt, he would win the game immediately. And so we are going to see the full combo coming out with Force of Nature Savage Roar to remove that board because he felt like he was getting so hopelessly far behind on control.
And that's honestly what I expect to see. It's what I often see when playing on the ladder. They really do want to clear your whole board. They know it hurts the Shaman, and they'll get rid of their win condition to do it. The thing is, I actually would have... Oh no, he only had 2 attack. I was going to say I would have gotten rid of the Mana Tide for Flame Tongue uses later, but yeah, he only had 2 attacks, so it makes sense to go to face. And as you know, the Shaman can refill the board very quickly on 10 mana, and here it comes down. Gnomish Inventor, Spectral Spider, Wrath of Air Totem. Now what is he going to do? I guess he can start charging in with 2 Druids of the Claw, which is not a bad idea. Or he could try to get a really nice swipe if he Drakes and draws into something. But I would probably start bringing down maybe 1 Spectral Knight and 1 Druid of the Claw. Yeah, okay, that's a really nice move, which is what he's going to do. So what you're doing is you're giving yourself some sustain with one minion and some pressure with the other. I think it's a nice balance.
Right, it's definitely a good response. You are starting to run out a little bit of steam, and we can see how impactful that card draw was from the Shaman of having that Mana Tide down for 2 turns and having a Gnomish Inventor. He has a pretty consistent hand to continue filling the board, and right now it's having some huge impact. And now that he can pressure the Druid's health and keep his board down a little bit, he can set up for those combos with the potential Alakir or Doomhammer, or maybe with a copy of Bloodlust, which we've seen some Shamans running.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this Shaman is running a Bloodlust. It's running an Alakir. It's running a Black Knight. So it's running a lot of those cards that are like considered cards that can be brought in or taken out. All of them have their use. And now with 10 mana up against a completely full board, he might Drake and then have to dig for answers using Wrath potentially for 4 damage. He didn't get anything. A Spectral Spider's no help. Shade of Naxxramas I don't think is... that's really tricky. Well, let's see.
You might have to taunt up because you're so afraid of the potential damage coming through.
Yeah, the problem is that you're then not using your Wrath, your 4 damage Wrath, which could get rid of the Unbound, which can get buffed up by so many things in the Shaman's deck. I think the Wrath has to be used, and so does he. He agrees. The Wrath is going to get rid of the Unbound. You really got to do that. It can get scary. The 4/6 is going to get rid of the 1/3. And now we're going to see Spectral Spiders because I might have done Shade there. But I could see why. But I might have done Shade there. I guess he's afraid of a Lightning Storm. But it makes sense.
Oh, man. Let's do some math in our head, kids. What is a lot of damage plus a whole lot more. It looks like Bloodlust is definitely with the Rockbiter.
That's probably going to do it. I don't know if we need to do the math here.
Oh, yeah. That is... Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm guessing it's legal.
Oh, BM Totem. Faramir fighting back with the Shaman to come into a 1-2 deficit, but at least he's here and we got ourselves a game. Let me switch back over here. And we're going to look at the next deck, and I will get into that game in just a moment. Let me...
6 out of 10 BM. He didn't even totem before the Bloodlust, so he didn't end with a 3-2 Stoneclaw, only with a 0-2. A little disappointed there.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
Ultimately, a really, really nice nice response with that Shaman deck to beat down the Druid. Now we get to see what comes out for the Shaman, and it is the Shaman killer of all Shaman killers.
Yeah.
Priest.
And you know, I've been playing a lot of Shaman vs. Priest because it's so prevalent on the ladder, and I can tell you that the more card draw you have and the less you overcommit to the board, the I've gotten to up to 60 to 70% win rates versus a priest. Granted, I am running kind of a couple more late game cards, but it's getting better and better for the shaman, because shamans don't have to worry about such early game pressure from hunters, that their decks skew to the late game and to the card draw, which is what generally kills you versus a priest when they keep stealing all your stuff. So I'm liking this matchup right now.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be an uphill battle for the shaman for sure, because priest, just with its ability to steal your low attack minions, with its ability to out control you and just outvalue pretty much every turn, it can feel difficult. One thing that can be going in your favor, though, is a completely clunky hand from the priest. Having to pass turns 1 and 2 and then throw out the Thought Steal turn 3, doing nothing to the board.
If only the priest could totem up for Wrath of Air, he could have used that lightning bolt to kill the Unbound.
Yeah, if only he could do pretty much anything he wanted, then the game would be a lot easier. For sure.
Yep. So with 4 mana, he's not quite ready to bring down that Belcher. It's probably the Dark Cultist, and yep, the Dam stand ready. And one of those ferals is going to go down. And this isn't scary for a shaman. He actually, as a shaman, has the ability to clear this by just, let's see, he's overloaded for 2. So actually, no, he's not going to be able to Defender of Argus. So he's going to use the Earth Shock, clear the minion with the Unbound, go to face. And now it's back on the Priest, who can bring down a Belcher. I don't think a Holy Nova is good right here, although it will get rid of one of your minions. Shade, Lightning Bolt might actually work. Actually, Shade, Lightning Bolt, Power Word, Shield might actually be good here. Yep, looks like Shade's coming. Yep. Okay, Shade, Power Word, Shield, Lightning Bolt. Okay, it was a really nice draw he got into. Oh, Holy Smite. So that's actually better than Lightning Bolt. It doesn't overload you. Booyah, there goes the Unbound. And God, these guys are playing so fast. It is back to Faramir. Exciting, huh?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's a big reason he didn't throw down the Belcher, and it's because that Earthshock was so aggressive. He Earthshocked just to keep a minion alive and push forward for damage, that your opponent feels good about his hand and feels good about his ability to respond to threats in the future. That's why he didn't save an Earthshock for something like a Sludge Belcher. So if you throw out a Sludge Belcher, he's going to have an answer like a Hex, which we can see in his hand. And that's kind of some intuition that Ostkaka has to have there. Right now, he does throw out the Belcher because he doesn't have much else to do.
He's overloaded.
None of the minions he could steal were that great.
Shaman problems. Shaman problems, man.
Oh, man. Priest can... you basically get to experience every deck while just playing one. It's a really nice way to kind of get a taste of everything in Hearthstone.
Absolutely. And Manatide Totem's coming down. It's going to get killed immediately by that Shade or stolen with the Cabal Shadow Priest, which is actually probably better than killing it. So this is a problem. I don't really like putting down the Manatide in this position, but Faramir didn't have much of a choice. So now he's going to have to deal with getting rid of that Manatide behind a taunt with a Cabal and a Shade down. And it looks like it's going to be Lotheb and a Spectral Spider, which is bad. That's really bad. Defending up later, defending that's going to be nice, but right now he's in a tough spot, and it's probably going to be a Dark Cultist and maybe you save the Belcher, or you just play one of the two. It's hard to overextend versus Shaman because of the health of these minions above the Lightning Storm. But you don't want to drop every single thing. I would probably advise against it, so I'd maybe just heal up here. Yep, I like it. Healing up the Shade, going to face with not the Dark Cultist, with the 4/5. And now the Shaman's in a really tricky spot, although he does have Alakir and a Hex.
Right, and if you're wondering how Priest can counter Shaman so hard, it's exactly this. The huge value of stealing minions, of healing up your own high health minions, and of just continuing to throw down threats with some pretty nice card draw mechanics, as well as just brutally efficient responses. Right now he has a really stacked board. He has a really nice hand too, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a Holy Nova come out. If you just go ahead and throw it down, you can then take out the Defender of Argus and push through for a lot of damage.
And that is it.
The concede is there because this board is going to be impossible for a Shaman to work through.
The concede is real, my friend. Okay, well, that is it for our first series. Well done. Good job, Ostkaka. Coming in, taking out Faramir, our resident DKMR Pro in the best of 5. and in just about 5 minutes we're going to have our best of 7. I can hear you're in, and we're into the mulligans. I lost you for just a second, but rest assured we got you back. And as we can see here, in this best of 7, we have Ostkaka coming out with a new deck, the Priest, versus what is probably a Miracle Rogue.
All right, and is my voice coming through?
Yes, you're loud and clear. We got you 5x5.
All right, perfect. Sounds good. So there it is, a Priest opener from Ostkaka, and with that really nice performance in that last game, closing out the best of 5, I'm not surprised to see it. But in response, it is Powder with that DKMR Miracle.
Which is tricky because Miracle Rogue can run out of damage, and so if the Priest plays well enough and maintains board control, this can be hard for the Rogue.
And another issue is that this Miracle Rogue is going first, which unfortunately diminishes your chances of winning by about 5 to 10%. It's really unfortunate, but a turn 2 increases Miracle's win percentage by so much because that coin has so much versatility in your combos and in your card draw.
Yeah, and in addition with the Miracle Rogue, it's effectively a control deck. It's a different type of control, but you generally, when you're in control, you want to go second. You want to be responding, as well as the coin for all the combos.
Yeah, here he's just going to go ahead and try to stack on as much damage as he can immediately, like you said. Yep. He doesn't see a Deadly Poison in sight, and he knows that even if he used a Deadly Poison for card draw, he wouldn't get off until turn 6 at a minimum.
Yeah.
Going ahead and pressing on some damage since you don't have anything else to do on your turn 2 or 3 is not going to be that surprising to see.
Yes, and we've got the Shade down and a counter Shade. One good Shade deserves another, I believe, except unfortunately for Powder, Ostkaka Shade's always going to be just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it does have that extra 1/1. This little mini Gruul stealthed up. He now has a decision whether to attack with it. I don't expect to see it. I expect to just see a Thought Steal, since you're not too worried about the board ahead, and you know that if you attack with this Shade, it's a pretty big investment for only 3 damage on your opponent's face. That'll probably be taken out by the Shade in return if you deal it.
Yeah.
He also does have a couple other potential answers now. He's just going to go ahead and Thought Steal. He could have maybe thrown on the Power Word Shields, attacked in, and then healed himself, which would have made it a little bit trickier to deal with, but he's just going to play it safe and slow.
Do you like that line of play?
I think so. I think you're not really too worried about this Rogue until he starts to build up a board or push damage on your face. And if you go ahead and see some board control, especially with a minion like a Defender of Argus or these Sludge Vultures coming up soon, then you can feel pretty safe in this matchup. I don't know that Priests are too scared of Miracle Rogues unless they lose board control early and can't really fight for it back with some nice answers.
Yeah, and here he goes, trading the minion, healing up, and doing what Priests do best, which is frustrate their opponents.
That's absolutely true. He now has a damaged Shade, which can't be backstabbed, but can be taken out by what we see in his hand. However, the inability to backstab, actually, we're going to see a Gadget and Auctioneer and then a Prep, likely into an Eviscerate. He could Sap for tempo, but I would expect to see that Sap saved for a larger minion like a Sludge Belcher.
Well, he draws another Eviscerate, so that even makes a stronger argument to play the Eviscerate here.
Right, and that's a really nice time to throw out the Gadget and Auctioneer. You know that Priest doesn't have good responses unless he has minions on the board already, or unless he has the Akanai Circle combo in hand, which we know he doesn't, and which he doesn't necessarily expect his opponent to have, since he hasn't drawn too many cards yet.
The Priest is considering conceding.
If you can't deal with it,
I love it. Well done. That's
you can't deal with a Gadget Sand.
8 out of 10 bad manner there. I give that 8 out of 10. And I'm only leaving him room for 10 because I think he can do better.
Oh, I think he's not feeling too good about how well he can do even with the BM.
Yeah.
Since if you can't deal with that Gets then after the turn it comes out, you've likely lost the game. You know your opponent now has basically free card draw. He's going to play as many answers and responses as he can. The Sap on the Sludge Belcher sets him back, and now he can start pressuring for a whole lot of damage onto this Priest's face.
Wow.
And even if you can heal yourself with a Holy Nova or with a Holy Fire, you can't do too much every turn.
Where's Harrison when you need him? And one good thing about playing the Gadgetzan as early as he did is, as we've seen, sometimes people don't play cards because of their fear of the response to that threat. But the longer you wait, the more likely a combo is going to happen, because it takes more than one card, and you're more likely to draw into it. So if there's a way to test or prevent the combo, that's good. But if you're just trying to avoid a combo, the earlier the better.
That's exactly true. You know that your opponent is less likely to have something like Akanai Circle after he's drawn 8 cards than after he's drawn 15 or even more,
Right.
just due to, some basic statistics, and you haven't seen
Oh yeah, on
There
that
it is.
note, we have a concede, and Powder is fighting strong for the place and for the best of 7 championship, for this money, the cash on the line, and to maintain the best of 7 spot. Let me just tell you that is a very nice start with a matchup that I think you would agree that the Priest is slightly favored in it.
I think that the Priest has a lot of good responses, but if he doesn't draw into them like we saw there, he doesn't have a great way to deal with that Gatuzan Auctioneer, unless he has a great way to deal direct damage, or unless he's fought for board control a little bit earlier on. This is a slightly more late game Priest stack with something like Mind Control and lacking those early cards like Undertaker, Zombie Chow, unless those are cards we just haven't seen.
No, it didn't have those. It was a different kind of. It was a more traditional Priest that you were describing. That's correct.
Mm-hmm. So that's what we saw, and it was just overrun because it couldn't come out with those responses, especially to the huge card draw. Now we're going to see Handlock, which really came about to counter Miracle Rogue. Handlock is there because your ability to throw out so many huge taunts can really just absolutely destroy Miracle Rogue.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways to get through it quickly, but it takes a really nice hand, and generally that happened pre-nerf.
That's very true, and you have to deal with these giants as they come down. You can't leave them on the board to hit you in the face. And what do you have to kill them? If you have spell power, maybe the dream is to Blood Mage Stalnos backstab Eviscerate, but that's 3 cards for 1, and you just really get outdrawn by the hero power and outvalued in general. I think that Handlock is a really nice matchup here. As long as he draws correctly, he should feel pretty confident about this matchup.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, and his cards aren't bad. He's got, he doesn't have an early giant, which you might want, but he does have the Drake, which is nice, and he's got a couple owls, but I don't know, are owls really useful in this matchup early, other than to your own minions, other than like your watchers?
Owl, you're very right. It's not as useful in this matchup as it is in others, since you really don't have many minions you need to silence in a Miracle Rogue. You can use it to stem a Gatuzan Auctioneer's card draw if you don't have an immediate response like we saw last game. That would have been necessary for the Priest, but in this case, he already has a really nice start, throwing out that turn 3 Twilight Drake, which isn't that susceptible to many responses from your opponent except for Sap.
And there's no response, as we can see here.
I expect here to see a tap, and then you can go ahead and throw down your Sun for your Protector, if you so please. It'll be a nice way to keep damage off your face and fight for board control.
Yep. And I believe we've just temporarily lost Disciple again. We'll get him back in just a moment. But Gadgetzan is coming down. Okay, we lost you, Disciple, but you're back.
Okay.
And we have a prep Eviscerate after the Gadgetzan came down, which is going to, with the weapon, clear that Drake and allow for a nice beginning to that card draw mechanic, as we see Leroy and Fan of Knives and another Eviscerate come into play. With 5 mana here, Ostkaka really needs to get rid of that Gadgetzan, and it looks like it might have to be an owl. Yeah, I don't see any other way of dealing with it on 5 mana. So I think we're going to have to see an owl here.
You're right. You tap first and see if maybe you can get like a Soulfire. Defender of Argus isn't quite going to help, and so the Iron Beak Owl is going to come out immediately to silence it. And that's the best owl you're going to get in this matchup, unless you can silence up your own Ancient Watcher.
God, these owls are taunting me. It's brutal.
The owls are taunting you?
Yeah. I said they're useless, and then he comes in his only response.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the ideal response, but it's going to be a really great way to stem the card draw. Since, if, like we saw last game, if you leave that Gadgetzan Auctioneer on the board for more than a turn, you've likely lost the game right there.
Yeah, so we now have a Drake coming down and 6 mana to deal with this board. Yeah, he's thinking about Shadow Flame, but if he Shadow Flames a 4-cost minion, it would have to be the Drake. No, excuse me, it would have to be a 2-cost minion, so he's not going to be able to do that. So yeah, okay, so he's just going to Siphon Soul. and leave a 4-2 on board. I think that's about the best he could do right here. He doesn't even get to play a giant. So Powder's doing pretty well. I mean, he's doing well so far. He's got a big hand. He's got another Gadget Zan. He's about to play a prep with at least 2 or 3 other spells. He's got some low-cost spells. What are you going to do here? Fan of Knives just for the draw? I like it.
Yeah, definitely a fan of Knives here, because drawing 2 cards off of that for free is going to be perfect. Right now you're feeling in a really good spot. What this deck is doing, I can't see the list, but I have to expect, is that it's running Leroy without a Shadow Step, since the Leroy Shadow Step combo is so much weaker. But you can still run Leroy with Cold Bloods for the extra bit of damage as a nice finisher. Even if you don't come through with the 18 damage, you can still do quite a bit to end your opponent, who's right now sitting at 19 life, which is a really nice spot to hold a handlock at.
Yeah, he doesn't have the Shadow Steps, you're right. He's got an extra Conceal in here, a Blood Mage, Edwin, 2 Shades, and 2 Violet. So that's kind of filling in where those where they used to be.
Right now, this is such a good place for Miracle to be in. Even though you lost both your Gadget Zans, you have so many cards in your hand. You have basically all the damage you need. He doesn't have lethal quite yet. He was counting it because he realized he had quite a bit from Leroy, but no, not quite there yet.
Unless a Shadow Flame, a Hellfire. So he's going to need to clear this Van Cleef if he wants to stay alive. He really has to be more concerned with that than the Shade here. So the question is there a way he can Shadow Flame for 6 a Molten Giant? No, I don't think he can do it.
I think what you do is you throw out Twilight Drake, you owl Edwin, which is the actual best target for the silence, because I missed that earlier, and then you taunt them up. Yeah, that's going to prevent the damage coming to the face. But I think that we're going to be able to. I think we're going to be able to have the Rogue deal with this. There's a sap.
Yep.
There's an attack from Edwin Owl. Let's see how much damage he has. He has 6 plus 6 from Leroy, another 3 from the Deadly Poison. 15, he needs Eviscerate, and that's lethal.
Yep.
Oh, he has Backstab, of course, as well. He has super lethal.
Yep, he's got plenty of damage here, and we're going to see that sap come down. So he did need to clear the board, in fact, and he wasn't able to. And Powder, 2-0 out in a lead over Ostkaka. Really nicely done. Leroy's coming down. Why? Because he doesn't care about a nerf. F that.
Yeah, you know what? Leroy is still a strong finisher, even though he's not as good as before with his combos. He's still really good as 6 damage that can combo with other spells. He doesn't work with Shadow Step nearly as well as before, but that Cold Blood, as well as the huge arsenal from Miracle Rogue, is definitely enough there to end your opponent. And that's 2 games already from this Miracle Rogue, which is a class that many people thought would be dead. 1 from the addition of Lotheb, 2 from the addition of Sludge Belcher, and then 3 from nerf to Leroy. However, it stayed in tournament play from the beginning of Hearthstone, basically.
Which I think leads most people to believe that it was a little overpowered, and the changes were good, because it's still a strong deck in tournament play and on the ladder. So with that, we're going to go into the mulligan. 2-0 to Powder, and we see here a Mage, and the type of Mage... It's sort of more the Undertaker aggro mage. It's not. Is it full face? It's not full face. He's not running Leper Gnome, so it's a little bit of that of the Death Rattle.
Yeah, when you have that Sylvanas, you're going for a bit of the Value Secrets mage. Sylvanas is also a nice another Death Rattle to throw in with your Undertaker. And what you do is you fight for some early board control, and then you just completely overwhelm your opponent since they can't respond to your board. You have things like Mirror Entity potentially and Counterspell, which you see in the hand, to stave off that removal or threats from your opponent. And then you can just pressure in with huge damage and nice fireball finishers.
And you can even duplicate your own minions, the Sludges, Sylvanas, Water Elemental. If there was a Lotheb in here, that's really annoying, because then basically your opponent never gets to cast spells. But we do have the SI coming down, and there would be a quick Frostbolt as a response if he wants, or he could fill the board with a Harvest Golem. So it's just a question of, does he want to bring minions that are sticky onto the board, or does he just want to clear it off? What would you do? Would you go for the minion or for the spell?
I think that... See, it's hard because your spells are so valuable here, but so are your minions. If you throw it on Harvest Golem, you expect your opponent to throw in his SI7 and then knife it. Yeah. Then next turn, you know you can Loot Hoarder and ping it down with your hero power. Yeah. So you do have a response to it, but it does leave you with a pretty weak board. However, you're doing a little bit of damage. I think there are definitely two schools of thought that could have gone 50-50 either way.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a nice response. Ooh, actually, if he plays the Shaded Naxxramus, he won't have a good response unless he uses Backstab on the damage golem. I'm curious to see how much Powder is concerned with board control in this matchup.
Interesting, and he's not concerned with board control. And we're going to see potentially here from Ostkaka, he can bring an Undertaker and a Loot Hoarder, or he can then Frostbolt. So it looks like he's going to Frostbolt now, and we're going to see the Loot Hoarder come down. So he's not going to get value on that Undertaker, but he's more concerned with getting some more cards, which it makes sense right now. The Miracle's got a bunch of cards. He's only got 4 in hand, and I can understand that.
Right. If you can't get obvious value from the Undertaker, like if you have to sacrifice something big, like in that instance, some heavy board control, then you don't throw down the Undertaker. It's just not worth it. What it's very nice as is just 1 mana to fill in either turn 1 or to just fill in a nice gap in the later game to get a 2-3 or a 3-4 out really quickly. But here, getting the 2-3 wouldn't be as important as just pressuring and keeping your opponent's board clear.
But basically this weapon's going to be able to clear both of these minions, so, and the Shade's going to take some damage from the hero power probably. So that's going to put it, I don't know that I'd put down a duplicate here, because you don't really want to duplicate a Loot Hoarder, but maybe a counter spell would be okay. So maybe we're thinking hero power counter spell.
I definitely agree with you there. I think that duplicating this loot... Ooh,
okay.
Okay, very
That's
interesting.
fine.
He's throwing down to 1-2. So,
that's okay. I mean,
that could have
that's
just
not
been a Light Warden.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, the idea here is that next turn he can play Sylvanas if he wants, but you generally want to save that for when they've got something on the board, because then if it just gets removed. But yeah, I think that makes sense, because they're probably not playing Sylvanas next turn, so maybe you play Counterspell next turn.
Right, I think I would expect to see a Sylvanas next turn.
Really?
To get the buff, because what ways is your opponent going to... I don't know that Sylvanas gets a lot of value from stealing a minion in this matchup. I think it's simply just a 5/5 body, because there aren't too many instances where you're going to be able to run your minion into something and steal something else up against a Miracle Rogue.
Okay, I think there's a different way you could have done it, though, if you wanted to play Sylvanas and the Undertaker. Because, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. In this matchup, that does make a bit of sense. We see now the SI down, and let's see, will it be Sylvanas? Now there is a minion on the board. This is a nice trade, so effectively, one way or another, the SI is going to go down.
Right, I expect to see SI Deadly Poison to remove it. You're really hoping for some card draw right here, which you're going to get from the Azure Drake. That is a godsend.
Yeah, look at that. Wow.
I would Azure Drake Deadly Poison, which is the most likely play. Oh wait, no, you don't do that.
Good.
You don't do that. Of
Definitely
course.
don't do that.
Deadly Poison first. Take out the Sylvanas. Then you Azure Drake. I think that's one of those instances where it just, hey, this is a good minion. Let me play it. Clicks a little bit faster than Sylvanas does. Right now he has a choice of Cold Blood or Deadly Poison. He goes for the Cold Blood to remove it, which does keep off a little bit of that direct damage he could get from a charge later, but it does allow for some Blade Flurry potential in the future.
Yeah, I think that's nice. I like that. You have a lot of ways to push for damage. You only have one Blade Flurry.
Right, that's so true. And you could look at it as Deadly Poison is 6 damage to your opponent's face potentially, whereas Cold Blood is only 4. And so he could be opting to look at it that way, where you can fight for board control and face damage better with Deadly Poison than you can with Cold Blood.
And having Ostkaka play this Harvest Golem, that Deadly Poison could come down, allowing the sheep to kill the damaged Golem, which is a good value.
A noble sacrifice from the sheep.
Very, very noble. I mean, if your sheep gets any value, I think you're happy.
Rip sheep. Oh no, his life is so short. But he does go down. And that is a turn 7 with 1 mana spent. Not a great place to be on in Miracle. You can see the importance of either getting board control with the big minion like Violet Teacher, or getting that card draw with the Gadgetzan Auctioneer.
And as we see, the Fire Lord Ragnaros himself comes down, and 8 damage to the dome. That is 14 Alpha Powder. He's going to need to deal with this. Okay, so we do see Leroy potentially. You could also sap. So I do see Leroy coming in. Looks like he's going face. Okay, that makes sense. And then is it Sap Conceal? Is that what we like here? Yeah. Okay.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, Rag has put you on a timer right now, and you are all sorts of scared about this damage from your opponent. So you go ahead and throw out the Leroy, basically to try and keep a Rag hit off of your face, because you are terrified of that potential coming out. Or if it does hit you in the face, you can maybe end the game on turn 9 if you get the right draw. Right now, he doesn't have it, but he could be grabbing it soon. He has... Wait a minute. No, he has exact lethal right now if Rag hits his face.
10,
okay.
11.
If he backstab eviscerate.
Oh, you're talking about the miracle. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
No,
sorry. I was like, no.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I see what you're saying here. 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So he can deal 17 damage. Oh no, he doesn't have his deadly poison anymore. I of course missed that he used that to face. So he only has 14 damage with his current hand right now. It's a bit of a Hail Mary play, but he doesn't want to lose to that Ragnaros. He doesn't want to get hit in the face one more time.
I count 16 with the backstab. The 2 eviscerates, the backstab, and the
backstab
Leroy.
Goes to a minion.
Oh right. Okay. So then it would be 15 with the hero power. Got it.
Yes, 15 with the knife. Not quite able to backstab his opponent because he is damaged and a hero character. But let's see, he's hoping for the face. Oh no, nothing he can draw here saves him, especially a conceal. And he takes the honorable.
And with that, we have game number 3 going to Ostkaka, coming back. But I think the Miracle's done his job. I would say, as much as I think Powder wanted to win that, I think he's happy with how much work he's done.
Yeah, 2 games from the Miracle is nice. It's a lot better than a lot of people would expect from this post-nerf Miracle, which, like you said, goes to show for the nice balancing that's been done when it could be nerfed and still be viable. Now we're going to see a different deck come out, and if the name goes to speak as for the nature of the deck, then I am excited as hell for what's about to come out from Powder.
And here we go into the mulligans, and as I'm sure chat is screaming over my backstabbing of the face, guys, enjoy it, revel in it.
So this deck was titled, it was titled Aggro Killer, which I thought meant it was going to be an aggro warrior deck, but he just means it kills aggro. It's a control warrior, guys. You guys can bring out your pillows and drink your NyQuil, because it's going to be a long game.
Yeah, yep. Not as long as Warrior vs. Warrior, but it will be a little bit.
Yeah, I would say that Control Warrior here is going to be so good against this Mage deck, since you can pretty easily stave off the early aggression with some early taunts and some nice efficient removal. You know that there are a couple big threats like Sylvanas and Ragnaros that you can easily take out with things like Brawl or like Execute. And I think that Control Warrior is feeling pretty safe here. He does have to get the right draw, but with this hand, it looks like he's got it.
Okay, so I think this is a pretty clear advantage for the Warrior, and I think that's why he's countering with this. What do you feel like are some of the ways that the Warrior can get, can lose, basically, can not get the advantage? What are some ways that that this Mage could do that?
Big way is if you start out with your, Raggy, Sarah, Grom in your hand. You could also take a little bit too much damage early against a Dream draw from a Mage, which can be difficult to recover from if you don't find things like Shield Block or like Armor Smith. But with the turn 1 Armor Smith, turn 2 Fiery War Axe, there's already a huge advantage going over to the Warrior that's going to be difficult for Mage to overcome. You can see right now everything that Mage throws out will be responded to immediately.
Yeah, and you also have the potential here to armor up on your turns, and then got a cleave too. That's really nice. And then when you have a little extra mana, armor up and shield block. So he's going to be able to stay well out of lethal for a long time. So I think what you were saying about getting a bad start or the Mage getting a good start isn't going to happen this game, and it looks like we're going to have a distinct advantage for Powder here.
Yeah, you're so true. He already got the Mirror Entity out with a 2/2, which is going to be really no problem to deal with, especially with this nice Fiery War Axe. He also has a Cleave to take care of these 2/2s potentially in the next turn, so he wishes he could Cleave so bad right now. Yeah. Unfortunately, he's a little bit limited by his mana. But you can see with 10 health in hand from the shield blocks, and with a huge card draw advantage as well with those shield blocks over your opposing Mage, who has nothing to draw cards in his hand, You're feeling pretty good.
So we've got I was gonna say we've got the water elemental coming down. It's not quite a polymorph target yet, anything on the board. So, this is an interesting situation because the mage has to be like kind of racking his brain for how he can come back in this. And seeing the Death's Bite come down, I feel like he knows he's in a really tough spot. What do you think his thought process is for how he could potentially come back?
You know, when you're playing up against a warrior, you're on a timer. You're playing Majora's Mask, and you've got the moon crashing down on you. And right now, you're not feeling too good since you're getting to turn 5. And all you can do is throw down a minion that'll be instantly removed by what's on the warrior's deck. If he wasn't frozen, of course. Since he's frozen, he's going to have to wait his turn. And that's actually really nice from that water elemental in this matchup. However, I don't think it's enough to come back. We'll see. If he can get a dream curve coming out here, maybe throwing down Sylvanas and getting a couple nice duplicates, he could come back. Right now it's looking pretty unlikely. What can you do with these spells?
Yeah, and he's not even getting his Kirin Tor mages, which give you tempo because of the free spell you get to cast. So, yeah, the mage is struggling, I would say, pretty badly here. And with 6 mana, dropping a duplicate's fine because those Sludge Belchers is going to be helpful, but really, like, is that going to win you the game? No, it's not.
No, he could have even considered. It might have been really bad. He could have considered frostbolting the face to just keep his Sludge Belcher alive for a little bit longer. But right now, with the duplicate on his Sludge Belcher, it's going to be nice to keep him in the game since he has some large mana minions to fill his next turns, and that's going to take the place of card draw, which he has absolutely none of at the moment.
That's true, and he's got his own Belcher as well as a Spellbreaker, so when the next or the third Belcher come down, he's going to have a lot of ways to deal with it. You know, I don't even know that I would silence this one. Okay, he might. I mean, you're not getting anything out of it because all you're doing is preventing the 1/2 Taunter, which isn't really scary. I would prefer to bring down why wouldn't you play the Acolyte here and get a little extra draw? Okay, he's thinking about Lothar, but I would prioritize the Acolyte and Hero Powering here, but okay.
Yeah, Acolyte and Hero Power is a super value play, and one issue if you take a turn to go for mega value, even though you're in a pretty good spot against the mage, you could get overrun after and you could regret not throwing down a threat. Yeah. And
wow.
Instead going for Lothar, you're actually going to give over a huge hand to your mage. Right now, Mage is feeling so happy right now. He was in a terrible spot, and that Mirror Entity brought him right back in.
Yep, it basically trades 1 for 1 and nullifies that minion. Although the one thing this did do is it prevented the Mage from getting some card draw with his own Acolyte that would have taken damage from the blade, from the wind, or from the Death's Bite. So at least he's got that.
Right. Well, yeah. Currently, our mage doesn't have too much going for him with an Acolyte, but he does have some really nice minions in there. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Sludge Belcher paying his easy stuff. Yeah. All right, there we go. Now he's pressuring the face. Now he's got a good board. Now he's feeling pretty good. That was a huge turn with the Mirror Entity.
Mirror Entity and Duplicate. I mean, he refilled his hand. He got more minions on board. This is the kind of tempo that the Naxxramas Mage has that never had before, so that's really nice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now he does have a couple options. He knows that his opponent has an extra Sludge Belcher in his hand, but he does have some pretty good ways to remove those threats. He could go for something like a Silence Cleave. He doesn't have any perfect responses yet, but he does have a very full hand, and he can soon start throwing out the big threats like Rag, which we know that Mage doesn't have more than basically one response for with the Polymorph.
Yeah, the Cleave's not that good here. I agree. Basically, you're not killing either minion, so would you probably shield block here, or do you drop the Acolyte? No, the Acolyte's not really that good either. So it's probably a Hero Power?
If he's going to shield block, he should have done it at the beginning of the turn.
Yeah, you're right. So it's probably Acolyte then. Okay. And there comes the Acolyte. Yeah.
He was thinking about shield blocking, but he realized, no, I can't shield block after playing my turn. I'll look like a fool. So he just goes for the Acolyte, which can get taken out. But you do know that against an aggressive mage like this, taking that 3 damage to the minion and drawing a card can be better than nothing. Can be better than taking 3 damage to the face.
Yeah. And we're going to have the Acolyte get cleared. The other 2 minions go down to Frostbolt. And we've got a Harvest Golem. Lothab doing work. It's not even his Lothab. Wow. Nicely done.
Yeah, this is a really good board state from the mage. As a warrior, you're hoping for something soon like a brawl, but shield slam along with the shield block is going to be such a nice way to clear out this board a little bit.
This deck is running a rag, and it's got a flame strike, but it does not have a pyro. So there is a little bit less of that end game direct damage than from older, more traditional mages.
Oh man, that response is perfect here from Warrior. You got Death's Bite for the 3/4, you got Shield Block, Shield Slam for the 5/4, and you're feeling pretty good about that turn. And like you said, there's really no finisher from the mage. They have to deal the damage with minions. I'm actually not sure this variety of mage is running a Fireball, and so
it's got two. It's got two.
Oh, okay. So it does have a little bit of a finisher in that aspect.
Yeah.
And you have brought your opponent down to 17. But how do you get him down from here? You don't have your rag yet. You don't have your spells.
I would say, oh god, you want to save the Kieran for a secret, which you don't have. The Belcher is going to die immediately to the weapon.
I think you go ahead and Kieran anyway. You know that saving 3 mana on a secret, now that you're heading into turn 10, isn't that important anymore.
Yeah, it's not. And he doesn't play the Mana Worm. So I guess he's playing around Brawl here.
if your 1/3 loses the Brawl, you're crying. And you know that without too many spells in hand, you aren't going to get much value from the Mana Worm anyway. Yes. You might as well save it, since you have such a thin hand.
And you meant if your 1/3 wins the Brawl.
oh, right. Of course, that's what I meant. If it's the one left standing, you have a 1/3 and a 1/2.
Yeah.
You feel like you lost.
All right, so... and he is against a deck that is kind of named after Kit Kat, so he's also probably playing the history there and understanding it. We could have potentially another Belcher and a Polymorph. I don't see much well, that's not true. This Warrior is going to have a ton of stuff you're going to want to Polymorph, so it's probably Belcher again. Yeah, you got to save that Polymorph, right? Oh, is he going to use it? Oh, are you okay with that?
You get value from the Mana Worm. I think. Oh, trading in the Harvest Golem the Damage Golem feels bad. You know what? Even though you do have a better target to Polymorph, you realize you have to win the game soon.
Yeah.
You can't save your Polymorph that much, and if you threw all your minions into that minion instead of Polymorphing, you would lose all sense of board control. You're on 0 cards right now. You have nothing else going for you. You have to try to use what's in your hand to win the game.
But wait, I'm confused as to why he was going to play Rag, because he's got lethal on the board here. So he's going to Hero Power, I'm assuming. Okay, then he's going to play Unstable. Okay, that makes sense. I was going to say, if you don't stop some of the damage coming in, you're dead. So I like this. A Fireball could potentially end it, but he doesn't get that. So now he's going to have to clear this minion.
That was pretty risky. He was opening himself up to Fireball lethal.
Totally. He absolutely did. Especially if Rag hits the face.
Oh yeah, that was for sure. Right now, Mage is actually suddenly feeling good just because. Wait, let's see what we have from.
We got another Ghoul and Gromosh, so also a Belcher. I think you got to go Belcher here. Yep.
Yeah, I think Ghoul Belcher hero up. Armor up. Now you've
the good old Ghoul Belcher hero. Always loving the Ghoul Belcher hero. And the Sludge goes down. So now with 9 health, we do have... Oh, we're going to get a little buff on that Undertaker. And Hero Power could potentially... Okay, so...
I think you have to basically kill the Unstable Ghoul to kill
in
order to try and draw something.
I think that's what he was thinking about, and I think that's what he's going to do. So, yep, you're going to have the Hero Power... Mana Worm, your other minions stay alive. Flame Strike, that's good next turn, but not this turn. So this is actually, we have ourselves a match here. This is a lot closer than I think we thought.
That's very true. Brawl's not what you want to see right here, but with the Grom in your hand, you can take out everything on your opponent's board, and then you leave yourself with 2 enormous legendaries and a significant taunt.
And we do have a potential... Well, see, Flame Strike's not going to get rid of Rag, even with the Hero Power. Yep, I guess the Flame Strike is not enough.
I mean, you do prevent lethal on yourself with the Flame Strike.
Yeah.
because he was showing 21 damage, and now he's only showing potentially 20. Or he was showing. Oh no, he has 21 damage now. With the lucky rag hit. Let's see if Rag is feeling. Let's see if he's been taking his sniper courses.
No, there's 2 left. Yeah, your math was just slightly off. So he has 2 health left. And now we're going to see a fireball come down on Gromish. Hero power to the face. And
what? My math is never off.
Never off.
Chat, you heard
never off. But the question is, can he clear this Harvest Golem? He can execute, but then he'd have to... Oh, and he gets a shield slam. Oh, there it is.
No, you brawl. Oh, come on. You end the game like that.
No brawl. And okay, so we have Ostkaka taking... we have Powder taking game number 4, and that will be a 3-to-1 advantage here.
0 out of 10 BM. If you have Brawl in your hand, if you end the game with Brawl in your hand, you haven't played Warrior to your total potency. I don't know. I'm a little disappointed not seeing the Brawl there, but it still was a pretty good show from the Control Warrior. It was named the Aggro Killer, and it did kill the aggro. Now we're going to see how it faces off against this Druid, which we expect to be, and we can see right now, is the particularly aggressive variety from Kalento and Strife Crow with the Wild Growth thrown in.
I'm surprised he didn't keep that cleave considering how aggro it is, but okay. So he's got an Armor Smith. Maybe you want to go for the minions. I could totally see that. Okay, so Grom's not that good. Shield blocks. This is actually a Coin Wild Growth with a Creeper. I think this is actually looking... Okay, so he's going to get rid of the... I thought he had already mulliganed. So he's going to get rid of everything but the Wild Growth. And that's actually really good. So let's see what he gets here. I would have kept the Creeper, but... Oh, okay.
The Creeper is a little clunky, because if you coin Wild Growth, then you have a 3-mana turn 2. And
right.
you really hope you can 3-mana...
You can play the Shade. Yeah.
Right now, you coin Wild Growth, turn 3 Shade, turn 4, you can double Creeper if you want, and you have a pretty perfect curve.
Or
you can also Innervate Shade.
Oh, there you go. I think Innervate Shade might be better than, and then you turn 2 Wild Growth. That's pretty good.
Yeah, this is a lovely hand from the Druid. He has so many options right here, and
doesn't do it. Okay, goes for the... Okay, so he's thinking long term here.
Yeah, saving Innervate also allows him to potentially turn 2, throw out a 5-mana minion, which he could draw into, or just
get an early,
really nice.
Yeah, get an early force combo. So
I expect to see Azure Drake here. Azure Drake deals really well with the Armor Smith.
Yeah.
Whereas none of your other minions do. Armor Smith is really nice against Haunted Creepers since it can stack up armor really tremendously.
Yeah, I was thinking versus Shade, which it would take a turn for him to buff in order for him to 2 turns to deal with it. But yeah, you're right. The Drake's a really good turn here. And draws into a Spectral Knight. So that's going to be good. He's going to get a turn 4, either double Creeper, Creeper Hero Power, or Shade, and then turn 5, Spectral. So this curve is working out really nicely for Ostkaka. But on the flip side, we have another Armor Smith, and that's gonna be dealt with. But we have ourselves a swipe.
I don't think you have to swipe yet, because you're not too worried about that lone Armor Smith. I think you just go ahead and throw in your Azure Drake to 1. You can play... I would actually maybe go Shade. You could go Shade or Double Creeper. Both of them are pretty fine here. But I don't know that throwing down the second Shield Bearer was the most valuable play, since you won't get any value later with a Death Spite or an Unstable Ghoul.
Would you have Hero Powered, or would you have a Shield Blocked?
I think I would have Shield Blocked, since you're playing on a bit of a timer against this Druid. If he starts to get a huge board going and you don't find that Brawl, which luckily he has, then you could lose out pretty quickly. Okay. And Fire War Axe is, of course, always amazing.
That is amazing. It's amaze balls.
Yeah, Fiery Wind Axe in this case. I think it might actually force out a... Oh, does it force out a Swave? No, of course. That would be silly when you can just play this enormous minion, which is so difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Is the Brawl going to be real?
I don't see a Brawl here. I think Brawl is going to be so hard to recover from if you were this warrior. You go ahead and shield block.
Yeah.
You could faceless the 4/6 because it's one of the best minions. Okay, there it is.
I like it. The Brawl is not real. The Brawl is a terrible idea. The faceless is real.
You know, I did want to see the brawl last game before it was open as a bit of brawl. That's what the B and BM stands for, of course.
Brawl.
But in this case, you want to try to win first before you decide to fall back on that brawl.
Yeah, we got Karn coming down, and all of these minions will trade pretty efficiently for Ostkaka. So this druid is doing a lot of work.
Right now he's developing a huge board. We're getting closer to where we might want to see a brawl come in. He could consider taking out the Cairn with something like an execute.
Yeah.
But he's going to save it a little bit more. It can be dangerous to leave this much attack on the board, even though you're not dead to a Savage War combo.
You get to shield block. That was really nice. Man. It's kind of hard not to use the shield slam here when you know you're going to have the armor and you might lose it in a turn. So that's going to come down. And, okay, so now a brawl is going to look really nice next turn. And, yeah. Wow, okay.
So if you attack Haunted Creeper, you're telling your opponent that you have Brawl in hand.
Yes.
And you're just trying to get rid of it before, in case he removes your Spectral Knight. So this is going to make for a potentially less valuable Brawl, but it doesn't instantly communicate to your opponent that you have it in your hand.
Yeah, do you see Ostkaka trading his minions out here? Yeah, I guess he could Druid of the Claw and then use the 2 1/1s and then go to face with the 8 damage. The other option would be dropping Shade, but yeah, okay, so he's going to trade the big minion because it stays alive, the Bane. That's also nice. Do you bring another Spectral Knight down, or do you just Druid of the Claw in charge?
I think getting damage from Druid of the Claw is really important here, especially since there's a potential of a brawl. Getting the 4 damage from Druid of the Claw is just so much more valuable than potentially losing your Spectral Knight to the I think to that really efficient.
Anytime you can clear armor, I think that's a good thing.
Very true, very true. I think we need to see the brawl here because you're starting to get in danger of a combo coming up, or just of too much damage. I mean, right now that is 13 damage on the enemy board. Brawl still isn't perfect here because there's a 3/4 chance of a 4 attack.
You're really hoping for that creeper.
Oh man, you are dying for it.
And Spectral Knight and some spiders.
That was the best possible minion to win because it has just as much health as the Bane and it can't be targeted by something like an Execute. And that probably wins the game here. I mean, of course, it's too early to call it, but that's the best removal you have up against this Druid is Brawl.
It's too early to call it, but we're going to do that. So
It flopped. Brawl flopped, boys. Kit Kats lied.
Yeah.
And,
well, there was no Armor Smith out, so Kit Kats didn't actually lie, despite the fact that he's always lying.
Kit Kats always lies. All right. Oh man, right now you have nothing good if you are.
All right.
Warrior.
Well, we got the RNG gods with Rag, but he's going to play the sensible play, which is Lotheb. 5 mana Innervate. So he's trying to prevent the 4 Savage combo, which isn't in hand.
You can Innervate out of swipe.
Yep.
If you
or just
were
play
insane,
the swipe.
If you were mentally insane, but you could Innervate.
Actually, if you innervated...
Couldn't you?
No, if you innervated, you couldn't play the swipe.
Damn it, you'd have 6 mana and swipe would... Oh, wait.
All right, enough of our jokes. How do you really want to deal with this? I think you probably want to silence the card draw engine here and then just start clearing and hitting face.
Yeah, I mean, you're not afraid to Brawl anymore because you've seen it come down. You can extend onto this board all you want. No Warriors running second Brawl, no matter how many times they felt, damn, I really wish I had a second Brawl right now.
Yeah, that's not true. There's a couple Warriors on the European qualifiers for BlizzCon. There's one guy that ran 2 Brawls, but other than him, we haven't seen any Brawls. So,
well, Guy, here's a shout out to you. Yeah. Here is a Warrior desperately wishing he had second Brawl.
Exactly. I'm starting to like second Brawl. I'm thinking about it.
Oh man, the 9 mana swipe didn't innervate it out because he's not completely handicapped like I am. Yeah. And so instead he's going to make a smart play. Not the most valuable swipe, but hey, you cleared your opponent's board and you're pressuring so much damage.
Yeah.
Right now there's not a lot of ways to lose.
He can execute the Shade, which is going to happen, and there it is. And he can drop Rag and Prey. Just whatever you do, don't hit the 1/1. Okay, he got the 4/6. So he's alive. 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, he's alive. 8. You can do 8 damage right now. So it's probably going to just push with Yeti, Keeper, Hero Power, and then... Yep.
Yeah.
Do you not play the Keeper here?
I think you save Keeper for the silence value.
Of a minion with taunt. Okay.
Yeah, to push through for that damage. You'll probably have the mana to play Keeper.
The problem is that if you play that minion, Rag basically can't stop you from winning. Just Rag alone. Oh, I guess with Hero Power he can. So, okay, we're going to see a Taskmaster and then an Execute. The only thing that would come down on is the Yeti. So, okay, here it comes down on the Yeti. And
yeah, he could have Taskmastered his own Sylvanas, hovered over it with Execute, and then cursed Artosis. But he didn't quite have that. He gets really bad luck with the Rag there hitting face.
Look at this. Oh, yeah.
Going to be a good game.
He doesn't even need it, but he does get the extra damage. And GG, well played. Ostkaka coming back. It is now 3-2 in favor of Powder.
Well, he's certainly making this a nice series, showing how strong that Druid deck is once again, overtaking the Warrior there. Like we saw, he had some pretty nice answers early on, but in that mid-game, he really fizzled out. He didn't have all the minions he needed. He didn't have those big minions like Sludge Belcher to potentially go up against that Druid. He needed things like Karen.
And we've got a Hunter coming in. Hunter incoming. Post-patch Hunter here.
Ooh. Wait a minute. Do you have a list for this? I'm really curious.
I do have a list. What do you want to know?
Is it just the same as Old Hunter we've seen without? Oh my God! There's a Captain Green skin.
Does that answer your question?
Oh my God! Okay, I'm excited for this. You know what? I was one of the biggest advocates against Hunters before this patch, but now with the Captain Green skin, I think I have to respect it.
Yeah, there is a Leroy. We've got the Mukla is real, a deadly shot. There's some other interesting things going on here.
Okay, all right. So you took out some of the things that just worked with the brutal efficiency and general overpoweredness of the old Hunter, and you kept a lot of it the same. You still have some really nice early drops with your Web Spinner, with your Mad Scientist, Animal Companion as well to round out the curve, and you have some nice ways to push for damage, like the King Mukla, like the Leroy, and like Captain Greenskin on your bow. I suppose that's an interesting new tech from Powder, which could close out the series.
Would you believe me if I told you he wasn't running a bow?
Oh my!
I'm kidding.
Okay. Wait a minute.
All right. Sorry, I had to. You were having so much fun earlier. I thought it was my turn. So
no, he's waiting for the Lorewalker Cho to give him the upgrade from the Warrior he's not playing against in order to upgrade.
So in all seriousness, you've got Leper Gnomes in this deck as a Hunter. You do need to push for damage here. So what's your game plan?
I mean, you just play on curve. Hunter is pretty easy early on. Right now, Druid had the big question of, do I take out this Web Spinner early on with my Hero Power, do I Wild Growth? And he's going to opt to play it a little bit more risky. He goes for the Wild Growth. He now can play out a 4-drop like a Swipe if he wants on turn 3 here. But as Hunter, it's pretty straightforward.
He's got double shade here. No, I know. I think what I was asking, though, was knowing that the Druid has taunts and enough to sort of block you and stop your way, and enough to that now that you know you're not going to be penalized for having board control, what's the game plan, I guess? But as we can see here, getting a Huffer is always the game plan.
Oh, yeah. As Hunter, you play on curve. Right now, as Druid, you're a little bit less worried about developing your board since there's no Buzzard combo to be afraid of from turn 5 on. Now it's a turn 8 on play, which is not going to be shown in any real Hunter deck. But you do have to be worried about this damage coming to your face. You've already taken 8, and there's already 7 damage on board, 2 from the Hero Power.
Yeah.
You're a little scared.
Yeah, I mean, you can Hero Power Shade, or you can Swipe. And I think Swipe really makes a lot of sense, as you just said, because you're effectively, you need to stop the damage from incoming. You really do. That was a really nice turn. It takes back board control and puts the onus on the Hunter to use his Hungry Crab.
Oh, man. All right. Well, there's that bow that you that we talked about earlier. Getting out the free secret from the Mad Scientist is going to stop this Druid in his tracks just a little bit. And right now, he's in a really good position. I mean, he has everything he needs. He has a perfect turn 5 if he wants to coin out a high main. He's really living large right now.
I do like, though, that he can Hero Power and Keeper of the Grove, so he can prevent any further drawing. That's
Do you think he would? I don't think he would silence a web spinner. I think you.
What else? You silence the high main?
Yeah, you wait for the high main. You know it's there. You don't have a
Okay.
great way to deal with the 2/2s that come out from it. You also know that he could be running Houndmaster, which is some huge value, and as a druid without much hard removal, I think you've got to keep those silences in your back pocket.
Yeah,
Right?
I guess that's true. I guess that makes sense. I see what you're saying. Here comes the high main, so I think we have our answer. It's going to be, God, do you hero power to finish it off?
Oh
Ugh.
man, if you take 6 damage from high main, you lose.
Ugh. Yeah, at 15 health, I don't think you can do it. But,
How else do you do it? That's the question.
yeah, what is the other option here? Is it force of nature? Yeah, I guess it's force of nature. Jeez.
I guess you can't silence it. Yeah, you have to force of nature, throw in your cairn, and then you can use force of nature to clear up the hyenas after. You don't have a lot in your hand, but I think that's what keeps off this damage from you. Because if you take 6 damage to the face from high main, there's no way you're coming back.
A little trivia here for you guys watching. This deck of powder is called no 4-drops.
Ooh. Huh, I wonder what that means. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. He's not running Houndmaster, and that's basically all it tells us.
Yes.
No Snapjaw either for the turtle synergy, but pretty standard from what we've seen so far. A couple differences from what we might have seen from some of the Hunter decks are tracking, deadly shot, and of course Captain Greenskin.
What I like about playing this deck is it gives you the chance to win, right now, right here and now. But if you don't, then you have another deck to try to take out that druid. So I like this play here of this deck in this spot.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean it's strong. Like Hunter is still really strong right now. You have with Leroy Jenkins, you have 10 damage for your opponent with hero power. On the next turns, you have put your opponent on a huge timer. So you're feeling pretty good.
I'm going to just swap out so you can see what he's tracking. The overlay might be a little wrong, but now you guys can see. So he's going between Flare, Hunter's Mark, and Lotheb. Please ignore any of the other stuff that's wrong, like on the overlay. So, I would say, God, I guess it's got to be Lotheb.
Lotheb's a nice 5-drop right here. It trades pretty efficiently with your opponent, and with your opponent's Bane, of course, and it also pressures damage if your opponent doesn't trade into it.
Yep. And you can play it. That's the other thing that's really great about it. You can play it right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You didn't have much else to do with 5 mana except for potentially Deadly Shot Mad Scientist, but he goes for, of course.
I like the idea of keeping Deadly Shot because to kill a potential taunter that's going to block him from lethal. I think that's really nice.
Very true. If any Druid of the Claws come down, they're going to be in taunt form just to try and keep off some damage from the face.
Yeah.
So you're right, Deadly Shot would be of great use there. And now, with the 2 damage in the trade, he does prevent lethal.
Yep.
But
God,
it's not in a great spot.
Barely. So you've got Leroy. God, yeah.
Leroy Bow hero power is of
quite.
course 11 damage.
Yep.
Then you have one from the
Oh my God,
spider.
Ancient of Lore. I think he's thinking, where are my Ancients of Lore?
Right, even if you heal yourself from 5, you're looking at a massive board and a potential Leroy finisher.
I mean, you can clear most of the board, though. I think you need the heal. I think that's like the only way right now. Maybe some massive taunt, I guess, would be the other option. But as we know, with Deadly Shot, he's at 8. He's at 8. That's it. This is getting down to the wire here. Ancient of Lore.
Aha, there it is.
Okay. So I think you got to Ancient and either Hero Power or Wrath, but I think you've got to do this. You've got to heal.
Yeah, I would Wrath for 1 first on the Loot Hoarder.
Okay.
Just take it out. It's 2 damage from your opponent. It's 2 damage you're not getting on your minions when you trade, and you can potentially draw maybe a taunt. If you could potentially go for a Druid of the Claw and then trade your minions in Hero Power.
Yep.
The 1/1
Gets another Wrath. Well, that's going to be tricky because then you remove your healing potential if you choose to Wrath again.
Right. I expect the heal from the Ancient of Lore, just like you said.
Yeah.
That would be the best way to keep yourself safe. And even though you don't draw, which is what you're always trying to do with this Druid deck to find the finisher, you need to live.
Always, except
now. Right. You always want to draw with it. You can't always draw with it, though.
This is the strength of Druid. This is why people love to play Druid, because so many of its cards are choose one of two options, and 99% of the time you get a 5-10 or 5-10 with taunt. But every 100 games you get that 10-5, or every 100 games you heal.
Yeah. That's exactly true. If you're up against a Sylvanas on board, then you uproot.
Yeah.
If you're up against a Hunter at 8 health, then you heal. So you always have that choice.
Leok. That's not going to be helpful. He can kill command, though, but he can also Leroy. Gosh. I don't know. I feel like Leroy is a little desperate right now. But
I mean, kill command hero power brings him down to 6 health.
Yep.
You have a pretty easy finisher next turn. You don't expect your opponent to be able to heal again with an Ancient Valor, and even if they do, feel pretty good about your spot.
Yeah, I think kill command hero power is a play to win. The other option would be, as you said, Leroy, or deadly shot. So if he deadly shots here, he's really preying on that 5/5, and no, doesn't work.
He moused over for it.
Yeah. Innervate. Okay.
The issue with not kill commanding is you can't Leroy Beast kill command hero power in one turn, since that's an 11 mana combo. So he can't get the full potential 14 damage from that. No, I was right. It's 13 damage from that. But he still does have for 9 mana with this Leroy kill command and Angry Chicken. 11 damage.
He goes for the 1 for the draw. He's not planning on hitting this with his face. He's going to go in with the 5/5. And he gets the freezing trap. Man, okay, so had he done it in a different order, he could have healed up again, but he'll just wait for next turn. He's going to clear this man with the shade. And I like... Actually, you know what? My mistake. He can innervate right now and heal again. So,
he has to innervate, heal, or hero power, or he's dead.
Yeah, so I think Innervate heals safer, and I tend to prefer that play. He is going to go with that. The other option with playing a minion and hero powering would have been as good as well. This is actually giving Ostkaka a chance.
Right, well, you look at it and you think, okay, he has a little bit of a chance. He isn't dead yet. Right. But then you also look at your opponent's health. He's at 29. Yeah. He's at 29 health. How do you kill him? But now you just use everything because you know your opponent doesn't have any healing
But stabilizing is what's key here. If you just clear everything and stabilize, like with a swipe, for example, man, look at that. That's going to be pretty nice.
You can bring yourself up to 10 health. You don't lose the combo.
Yep. You always need to hero power from now on, right? You have to hero power every turn. He gets rid of the crab. He brings down a creeper and hero power. Okay. So we've stabilized as Ostkaka's druid, and now Powder needs to sort of find a way. He needs to... Wait. He doesn't need to find a way. He's got a way.
Yep.
He's got a way. He's got hero power Leroy.
Yep, he has most certainly found a way. Wait, did we see the druid? I misread his health. I thought he had 9 health, but that's of course a 7.
No,
that's why I missed. Yeah, it was.
That's why you were saying he was out of combo range. Yep, Leroy hero power. I got it right before it came down, giving us casters a little bit of a good finish, and we have Powder winning 4-2 versus Ostkaka. I'm gonna see if I can get Ostkaka first and then Powder. So guys, stay with us for the interview and give me just a moment, okay, guys? I'm gonna put some fuzzies up, and let me see if I can get him down here.
And give us some credit, guys. We have a pretty small screen we're working on, pretty small portion, but still a great.
Oh, lost Disciple again. We'll get him back.
Oh no, am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Okay,
perfect. You can hear me now. What we saw were some pretty good Leroy decks, even after the nerf of Leroy. I don't know that you can quite call it the dusting, since so far we saw Miracle take off a few games and Hunter close out the series, running Leroy in their decks. It's not over till it's over, and like you can kind of see that maybe Leroy is a little too strong if he's still pretty good as a 5-mana minion.
Yeah, well done there. Okay, so just trying to get the interviews. It looks like we might be just having one interview tonight. Yep. Ba, 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 ba. Let's see what we have here. Just stick with us, guys. Thank you all for watching. Just getting a little bit of info here from our competitors. And let's see if anyone says anything. Nobody's saying anything there. Okay, let's see. Okay.
So what I really liked from that series, from both series, is that we saw so much class representation in every single game. The only class we didn't see today is Paladin, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Every other deck got to see some play, and this was just a best of 5 and a best of 7. We saw a total of 10 games, I believe, and we saw 8 classes, which is awesome. It goes to show how much variety is being brought to this game with Nax.
Definitely. Give me a second here, guys. Let's see if we can't get these overlays here. Powder?
Hello. Yeah, hello.
Congratulations. Thank you very much for having an interview with us. Ostkaka declined. We like to have an interview with our challenger regardless, but he did decline, so we give him that. But we have our winner, DKMR's very own Powder. Talk to us.
Yeah, it was some pretty fun games.
I feel like more than a few times, the decks that were at a disadvantaged situation, the decks that sort of aren't favored, won out here. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. I like the Miracle against Handlock.
Uh-huh.
And I do kind of think the Hunter is in a disadvantage against the Druid as well.
Uh-huh. Yes, Disciple and I were talking a little bit about that. Why do you think that happened? Why do you think you were able to? Why do you think those deck classes were able to win from your position or standpoint?
I mean, I think his Handlock got a pretty bad draw, from what I could see. I mean, Hunter is still Hunter. It can beat anything.
Yeah. Even without 4 drops.
Yeah, even without 4 drops.
So my question about that Hunter that I think is on everyone's mind, or at least on mine times 10, is Captain Greenskin. Can you enlighten me?
It's really good, actually.
Okay.
Disciple, why are you such a fool? It's really good.
You're definitely an innovator, I would say. I would have loved to see it play there. I think it's a really cool card. It's just there to pressure a lot of damage from the bow, and that's it.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I was looking for it in the tracking because it would have been really sick, but I didn't get it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I should say that this isn't my deck. It's actually a friend of mine's that I stole. So I can give a shout out to him, to Orange, his name is.
Orange, okay. Thank you, Orange, if you're in the chat or if you're watching somewhere. Thank you very much. Powder and all of DKMR is grateful. We're just happy for the fun deck, so I know Disciple and I appreciate it. Okay,
that's definitely true.
Do you have another question? I've got a couple too, though, so if you have some, Disciple, I'll let you go.
Yeah, one question I have. So we just saw a huge Leroy nerf that everyone was talking about. Everyone was hyping it up as the Dustining. And then we saw it from 2 of your decks, at least. We saw you play it from both your Miracle and from your Hunter. So can you tell us a little bit about how the card has changed and what decks it has actually affected?
I mean, the change isn't that big. The only, deck it changes the most is Miracle Rogue.
Yeah, no Shadow Steps, right?
Yeah, exactly. You kind of needed to innovate something new, and Christopher kind of did that for DKMR, and that's the list both me and Faramir were playing, and it's very, very different from what we're used to. I think Hunter, it doesn't matter that much. It's 1 mana more. It still does the same thing. I mean, in most decks, there's no, Shadow Step is the biggest thing. It's it costs 3 more mana to do the whole combo.
Yeah.
There's no other decks that has something that can do that, so it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, I mean, it does get rid of the handlock combo, but yeah, I see what you're saying. So, but let's talk about the Hunter now, obviously with the nerfs to the Buzzard. So you're fine with Leroy. The Buzzard goes away, so effectively the Unleash goes away. And it looks like in place you've gone with the Leper Gnome, the Undertaker, certainly the Green Skin, and the Mukla. So you're going for early aggression with some Death Rattle buffs, is effectively what the strategy is, or am I missing something?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same idea as the old mid-range hunter. You just have to pressure harder because you can't rely on your Buzzard Unleash combo to get you back in the game. I mean, I'm not sure if this hunter is that good. Like, I mean, I won a game with it, and I really like it, but I think Aggro Hunter is probably the only hunter that's viable. But I haven't like tested this deck enough to say anything. I mean, I tested it a couple of days now.
Fair enough.
It's been doing really well.
What do you think about, like, because I know you had some recent tournament results you weren't as happy with, but then you won the DKMR in-house. You've stepped up. You're taking the best of 7 spot. You took your first victory. Talk to me about how you're feeling overall about your play and what's been going on with you for the last few weeks and then this week with the Invitational.
I mean, there's been so many qualifiers recently for a bunch of different things, and it's been like a time where all of us that don't get invited to everything, we had a chance to kind of get a bit more noticed as well, and I kind of let myself down a bit. I think I've been playing pretty well, just haven't really had all the RNG on my side, as well as probably the right decks.
Yeah. Well, I guess I can say to that is, events come and go, and it's important to sort of put up as a good result as you can, but the system to improve and to work better, the backbone is important, and you're on a team where you get to play in events like this, and certainly you get to compete in all the events you've been recently competing in and improve, and that's really what is going to shine through in the long run if that's really where if your mindset is on that big picture. So I think hopefully this will be a win and a change in direction onward and upward for you.
Yeah, hopefully.
Disciple, any thoughts?
Yeah, I just have to say big congratulations. That was a really nice show. I really liked the play, really from everyone here, but especially seeing you taking that best of 7, showing us quite a few decks as well. I think that it was a really nice performance, and I think I'm expecting to see a lot more in the future, even if you haven't been quite so proud of your recent tournament performances.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll say, like, having followed your tournaments, not in the last few weeks, but previous, where you were doing incredibly well, it's hard to keep on being consistent with wins. Sometimes you have to drop off because you've been doing so well, so I wouldn't be too hard on yourself. But I do have a question about tonight's matches. That Druid, I really want to talk about that Druid. So Ostkaka's Druid, while you were able to take it out, it felt really strong. I don't know if Disciple got the same feeling. Sometimes I'm watching Hearthstone, and I feel like when a deck does well, it owns, and when a deck does okay, it owns, and then when a deck does really poorly, it still manages to eke out victories. And that tends to feel really like, I tend to spot those and think, wow, okay, I want to keep my eye on this. And this Druid deck had that feeling for me. Is that just my bias, or do you feel like that Druid deck is incredibly strong where it's at right now?
I mean, it's the meta has kind of shifted back to where it was a few months back, where Druid was kind of the go-to deck. Like mid-range Druid, it was probably the most consistent deck out of any Hearthstone has seen, and this deck reminds very much of that. With the addition of like cards like Spectra Knight, it's just made it stronger.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a deck that can beat any deck, and it's, I mean, if you draw Wild Growth, it's just insane.
Yeah. Yeah, Druid with Wild Growth, but this also has like the Shade of Naxxramas. I mean, yeah. Are you thinking that that's going to be one of your staple decks, a Druid deck like this, or are you focused on other decks at the moment?
I mean, the problem with Druid is that it doesn't have any extremely good matchups.
Right.
It kind of depends what your game plan is going into tournaments. I mean, if you want decks that do consistently very well against everything, this Druid deck will be extremely good.
Mm-hmm.
If you want decks that counter the counters, or just like are in a different part of the spectrum, so to say, like this deck isn't that great.
Okay, that's a good assessment. I agree with you on that. Disciple, any thoughts?
Yeah, well, one question is just kind of maybe a little bit more fun of a question to get into your mind. Is regardless of what the meta is right now, regardless of what you expect your opponent to have or what you want to open with, what right now is your favorite deck to play?
To play or to open with?
I would just say to play. What right now do you have the most fun playing? Because I definitely have my own opinions, but I'm curious to know what you like yourself.
It's a hard question. Right now, it's probably Secret Mage. I didn't bring it up today. I actually had it against Faramir.
Secret Mage? Okay.
Yeah, I had some really fun decks to play against Faramir, so I was really hoping.
Oh, yeah. I've got that deck list here since you guys submit them all to me in advance. Let me glance at that real quick. While I'm glancing at the deck, I do want to say to all of you out there watching, these decks, all of these decks will be available on Hearth 2P probably tomorrow. So we don't share them just yet because we want to give that exclusivity to Hearth 2P, thank them for doing all this for us, and drive traffic to their website. So that's why we do that, to thank them and to encourage them to do more events like this. Talking about the So Many Secrets deck. You've got your counter spells, your duplicates, your mirror entities. You're playing a Kirin Tor. You're not playing the other secret, the what is it, the 2/2 that get
Arcanist.
Yeah. Did you not like that card? You don't think it fits in there well? What are your thoughts on the Arcanist? Yeah, the Ethereal Arcanist.
I think it has amazing potential. But the only secret that it's like synergizes really well with is Ice Block, because your other secrets will probably be procced the turn they're played. So you're never gonna get like one of those guys getting buffed and buffed and buffed. It's like it can get to a 5/5, but it can also be silenced, and sometimes you can't even get it to 5/5. So
it's a little inconsistent.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, fair enough. One of my really good buddies, a co-host of Masterclass, runs a mage deck with a couple extra secrets. He's got the Spellbender in there, which really throws people for a loop. And some of those extra secrets allow them to stay on the board more, kind of getting that consistency. Of course, it doesn't deal with the silence. But yeah, and this looks like a strong and consistent deck. What are your thoughts about Archmage and Tinnitus? Honestly, for late game mage decks, I found it really powerful. And I know it's like one of those late game cards where you need to get there and have those small cost spells. But when you run out of damage versus like a warrior or something, I really find that can come in handy. But maybe that just makes the deck a little more well-rounded and not as good as in a tournament format where you really want to counter something more strongly.
I don't think I would ever play it in that sort of a deck, which is a bit more aggro-ish. Because, I mean, you don't run that many small spells either.
Yes, this deck doesn't. Yeah, I see in your deck you only have Frostbolt. You don't have any other small stuff. Arcane is the next one, but yeah.
It's like, the only turn you could actually play it is like turn 9, and I think it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah, in this type of deck it wouldn't make sense. I totally hear you on that. Yeah, so let's see here. Any other questions, Disciple?
I don't think so.
Okay, then I just want to ask you, what are your thoughts about next week? You're playing against a Chinese player, a well-known player for those following the scene. I think it's Fuoliver? I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but a Chinese pro. Are you excited, concerned, don't really care? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it and see what he goes for. I haven't actually watched him play, so I'll have to do that the coming week. I don't know that much about him, to be honest.
Okay.
But it will definitely be fun to see what the Chinese player has up his sleeves.
Yep. Cool. Okay, well, with that, I'm going to let you, Powder, give a couple shout outs, and then my co-caster, Disciple, and then we will round out the show.
Just a shout out to Team DKMR for helping me prep for today and for, all tournaments. You can follow me on Twitter at DKMR_powder, as well as a shout out to all of our sponsors, Hearth2P, Waypoint Media, Gunners, Hearthstone Players, and Make Me a Dragon, and
Yeah, Masterclass is my show, and I appreciate you guys having that info up there. Cool. All right, Disciple, let's do it. Let's finish this up.
Yeah, just shout outs to all the competitors today. Some really nice performances. Really big congratulations to Powder there, and also some nice showings, of course, from vVv and DKMR respectively. Big thanks to DKMR and Hearth2P for having me out here, and to you, Kobayashi Maru, for co-casting with me. It's been a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun coming out here every week. If you guys want to check me out, I have a Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch where I stream pretty much daily at Disciple Games, and it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.
Absolutely. Thank you for casting with me, Disciple. It is always a pleasure. Powder for winning and keeping the money in-house and keeping your spot in the best of 7. Also for showing good games. This was a great set of games tonight. Always happy when it goes a little more back and forth and isn't as one-sided. For those of you curious about Fu Oliver, you can find him at twitch.tv/FUOLIVER_HS, and his team is www.yolomiracle.com. So if you're interested in him, whether you're a player or someone curious about our next week, that is his info, and we'll talk a little bit more about him next week. Thank you to DKMR for having me and letting me host this show, and thank you to all the players who participated. And in particular, thank you to our challenger this week. It was fun to have him on. I really like seeing the decks. And Ostkaka is a well-known pro, and vVv is a great team. So thank you guys on that team for letting him come out. Thank you all of the sponsors, Hearth2P, Waypoint, Gunners, Hearthstone Players, Make Me a Dragon. And hopefully in the near future, I'll be restarting up Masterclass when I am back to 100% and kicking butt and taking names. And it's a really fun show. It's all about Hearthstone and the world of Hearthstone. We do developer interviews, pro analysis, all that fun stuff. So, yeah, it's been a great show. It's been a lot of fun. And with that, I will say thank you guys, and we will see you next week. Same time, same place.